Hi everyone, welcome to the Learning Pro Live. My name's Cath Ellis, and this is at the moment daily vlog to talk a little bit about my life as a e-learning instructional designer or learning experience designer. These terms keep changing. I'm really excited to be doing this session today. We're going to be talking a little bit about portfolios. And in particular, we're going to be talking about creating a portfolio in Google Sites. And this is very controversial. Google Sites, didn't know you could do it. Well, Google Sites has had an update and it absolutely looks brilliant. And my special guest that I'm going to be introducing in a second built her portfolio in Google Sites, and I think it looks fantastic. So I'm going to introduce her now. Welcome to Ashanti.
Hi.
I've just been saying how fantastic your site was, and I'd like to introduce you. Go ahead and tell everyone a little bit about yourself, Ashanti.
Hi, my name's Ashanti Henderson. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, and I currently work as an e-learning developer at a small agency. And I'm really excited to be here with Cath today, and I'm super flattered that she wants to talk about my portfolio because hers was definitely an inspiration for me when I started my journey in instructional design.
Oh, stop it. I'll pay you later. I promise you.
It's the truth.
Well, Ashanti, you know, I was telling you before that I saw your website come up and I thought, this looks great. And I opened it up and I was looking through your portfolio and I loved your colors and I loved the format and the layout. And I told you that I scrolled down to the bottom and I clicked on, you know, the little eye on the bottom of the page and I said, Google Sites. I was like, oh my God. I did not know Google Sites look this good now. And after doing research, I saw that it had been updated, you know, in the last, couple of years. And then they've obviously been doing updates like the little notification banners and things like that.
Yes.
And I just said, wow, this is awesome. In fact, you know, we've got a couple of comments. We've got the fabulous Tim Slade, who's online with us now, and he says hi all, and he said I just rediscovered Google Sites the other week. I'm blown away by the possibilities, not just for portfolios, but I can it for all kinds of microsites. Absolutely. And he says I'm looking at Ashanti's portfolio now. It looks awesome, and it really
okay. Thanks,
really
Kat.
looks fantastic. And in fact, let's bring it up so everyone can see it because I just think it looks beautiful. So here we go. So this is Ashanti's website. So let me ask you a question, Ashanti. What made you go with Google Sites? Had you seen another Google site that inspired you, or what was the reason?
Well, I used to have lots of blogs on Blogger.
Yes, okay.
So that's kind of how I veered into the land of Google Sites once I was looking to build a portfolio. And I really liked the updated version, not only because it just seemed like it was really easy to use, but also because of the cost and the integration. So I just bought my domain name from Google, $12, and that's all I pay a year. And I think it looks pretty good for the cost. So I'm sticking with it for now.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I just think it looks knockout. So we'll share a little bit of the back end, etc. of the website, but we'll have a quick look through it. So you've got a full screen here. You've got your heading across the top. Okay, you've got a little bit about you, and you've got your process that you follow, which is great. You've got your training solutions, you've got your testimonials, and then you've got your link for blog posts. looks great, you know. And then you've got your get in touch, and and another thing, I mean, it's not just like a landing page. You can build a whole website from it. So here you've got a portfolio of different items. You've got your about me. Oh, see, you've got the show in there.
I do.
And you've got some contact details.
Yes.
So, you know, I think for anyone who is wanting to build a website, talk to me a little bit about your process. So did you go and have a look at other websites, other Google sites, or did you just jump in and just have a little? Did you have an idea of how you wanted the layout, and you just thought, I'll build it to the functionality of Google Sites?
Well, this is actually iteration 6 because
is it?
Yeah, because I think I had to put a lot of work into visual design because that is not my strong suit. Like right off the bat, I had to practice a lot. So I did, after I tried my hand at it first, I did and go to other sites and look for inspiration and just see what they did that took their websites or portfolios to a different level. And really it was about the images and the imagery. If they had really strong photos or they had artwork that they could put in the background, their site looked nice. And I think that could be like a downside and a plus for Google Sites that can't do a lot natively per se, but there's a lot that you can add to it if you have an eye for design, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's so I told you that I jumped into it. I was so inspired, Ashanti. That was it. I was like, okay, I'm going to work out how she did this. I want to I like reverse engineering projects to work out how people did things. So that was it. I jumped into Google Sites and I was like, okay, how did she make that full screen? And oh, there you go. This is easy. And, you know, and I'll show you my, what I did in Google Sites in a minute, but I think that, it's certainly, limited to some degree with regards to you can't choose your own fonts. Like I would have loved to been able to just choose another Google font like Poppins. That's my font that I always use.
I like Poppins so much.
It's a good one. But you use the and I use the same, the Simple Design. Did you use the Simple Design? And I just think it looks very clean, very nice, and you know, will fit with basically anything that anyone would want to do. And so you worked on getting your imagery together and your color palette. How long do you think it took you to build?
I don't think it took me that long. I would say for the initial one, probably 2 hours, just because I was in and out of Canva. So that's kind of like my secret weapon.
I like Canva too.
Yeah. So that's what I used. A little tip that took me a while to figure out is that even though it looks like a bunch of rectangles that are going around, it actually works really well if you do the square format. Like if you have, if it's not pictures, if you're like putting a background or like for your header, just do like a square image, like maybe a 12 by 12, and it'll just whatever you want to show up, you want it centered, and that's what will be there.
Yeah. I think like a lot of tools, guys, it's a tool that's very interesting, Google Sites. There's not a lot of people who are doing very polished tutorials on it, you know, so there's people who are doing things and it kind of looks a little bit, you know, it doesn't look very appealing to use it as a tool. But then when you start looking at the great output that Ashanti's done, or even some other sites, now I'm going to show you a couple of other sites as well, that we actually were just chatting about before. Like one is Joshua's. Yeah. So let me bring up Joshua's. Okay, let me share this one because this one is a good one as well. And Joshua's really influenced Ashanti's as well. So this is obviously a graphic designer, and he's wanting to showcase his portfolio here. And I think this looks really great. I think it looks really fantastic. He's obviously, you've both actually gone with a bit of a purple look in your portfolio, but he's gone with this purple palette as well. And it looks really, really great. So things like this one, because this influenced me for my design. Did it influence you as well?
Definitely. Like this was where it kind of clicked that, okay, the grid is my friend. I just need to make sure that I have high quality images and don't try to like do all this stretching.
That's so right. And the grid is the same on every, every kind of website. Whether you're using Webflow, it will have a grid. WordPress, so mine's in WordPress, my personal website. So there are. So this is where it can get quite restrictive as far as you have one image, you can have two images, you can have three images, and then it pretty much knocks it on the head and says, yeah, you can't do any more than that. But Google Sites allows you to move things. So you can change that grid a little bit. So it's not, it's not in a defined columns. You can change the layout a little bit. Yeah, this one really influenced me as well. I thought this looked great, and as I did for yourself. So this is what made me go in and really start looking at it. And this is what I was talking about, guys. The little eye on the bottom. It shows you it's Google Sites, which is really cool, and when it was last updated. So, yeah, and this actually in the bottom of the YouTube video, I've actually put a link to some of these links so you can go and have a look at some examples. This was the one that I did. So there's a local flower shop. I know it's not learning, but just as an example, a flower shop in my local village is obviously struggling a little bit with COVID-19, and I offered to make her a little website, and this is what I did. And she had a lot of great images on Instagram, so it really wasn't hard to try and put something together. But in a couple of hours, the same as you, Ashanti, it was easy to just put something pretty nice together. And I'll actually log in and show you guys just how easy this is to do. So what restrictions did you find you had, Ashanti, building in Google Sites? Was there any restrictions for you?
Yes, one that jumps to mind is the contact page, because I was really trying to avoid using Google Forms as a contact.
Yeah.
Even though it's super convenient. So I went and I was trying to figure out the code for it, but I ended up using PHP, and Google was like, no, actually you need JavaScript. So I was like, I'm just going to use the Google site because I've already spent so much time doing it. So Google Forms it is.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that I found exactly the same thing. And my workaround for that was to just put an email. I mean, for this individual, she's not a techie anyway. So just having an email going to her works really well. But there is that limitation as far as not having a native contact form, even though they've built a contact form in the footer now. Did you know that?
Yeah, I did see that. I'm not sure I like it, but
no, neither do I. It's not intuitive at all. And we've got another couple of comments here from Tim, who said, "That's amazing. I sometimes spend 2 hours looking for a single image." Me too, Tim. I'm like that as well. And he says, "This all makes me realize it's not about the tool you use, but how you use it." Yeah, absolutely. And I think if you've got really good eye for design, you can make something that looks great, like Ashanti has done. Absolutely. So the contact page, yeah, absolutely, because I've seen that you've embedded the Google form, and I think maybe they're going, oh, we don't want to make it too easy for them, you know. It could be a whole, I mean, knowing Google, it could be a whole GDPR kind of capture issue, you know, that kind of thing, you know. That they've moved a little bit away about having some of the functionality to embed. I was telling Ashanti that I couldn't embed a link to Stripe via Google,
like the embed part.
I couldn't embed a link like you could in WordPress, and that's actually very frustrating. But you know, there's workarounds. There's always workarounds for things. So it's not the perfect tool, but I tell you what, if you need something up quick, there's no reason why any learning designer shouldn't be able to jump on and be able to do something. Hey, Ashanti.
I agree.
Yeah. We've got another little thing from Tim. Aren't we lucky to have Tim Slade here? You know? Oh, hang on one second. We've got another comment. Well, let's just do Tim. Can you talk a little bit about how you decided to showcase your work examples, since you can't host your e-learning examples in Google Sites? So how did you do that, Ashanti?
I use Google Cloud. I really like integrated technology systems, whether it's Apple or Google. So yeah, I definitely went with that so I could make sure that it would work.
So I'm just jumping into this here.
Hopefully it shows up. Okay.
So you've embedded this?
Yes.
Directly from
Google, from the Google Cloud. Once I put it in, like assigned it to a bucket, I went and got the link. Yep. And just directly embedded.
So that's great, because they're obviously allowing this to happen through Google's sites, but they stopped people from sharing things 2 years ago, I think. They actually stopped you. Am I right, Tim? They stopped you hosting things in your Google Drive.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, maybe Google's, maybe that was the next thing, wasn't it? The Google, because that's like Amazon S3 now, what you're talking about, Ashanti, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, it's like the Google equivalent. They did stop you being able to upload to Google Drive. I guess they want you to use the cloud instead now.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, looks great. So so it's a fully working articulate module that you've embedded in.
I actually made this one in Lectora.
Oh yeah, that's right. Lectora, you did tell me that.
Do you need help?
Yes, I do.
Go to the icon at the bottom.
Go to the icon at the bottom. Go. Oh, that's great, isn't it? Well, this looks fantastic, and it's come through. It's not pixelated. It looks really great. Yeah, so I hope that answers your question, Tim. He said, I believe so. So yeah, I'm actually getting confused with when they stopped you from hosting things from Google Drive. And that's right, they did want you to move over to Google Cloud. We've got a comment from this lady, but I don't know her name, SH. Do you know this person? This is incredible. Great job. Love this. Thanks for sharing and inspiring. Sheila from ATL.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hello, Atlantean. Hi, Sheila.
It does look incredible. So that is a great workaround as well, guys, that you can actually embed from Google Cloud, and you can embed lots of documents natively from Google Drive. So it really is built to allow this kind of embedding and different things, isn't it, Ashanti?
Yes.
And videos, you did the same thing, or were they just from YouTube?
I just did YouTube for that one. I guess I could have done the cloud, but
yeah, it just works natively from another Google. Sheila, thanks, Sheila. Great. And job aids, where did you embed these from?
I just uploaded them as images.
Yeah, okay. Cool. But you could actually upload something just from your Google Drive, presumably like a PDF. Be good to explore that actually and see how that actually looks when you formatted it and popped it in. If you guys want to have a look at what the back end looks like, I'm happy to show you. Do you want to show yours, or do you want me to just show mine?
I can show mine.
Yep, brilliant. So if you just click at the bottom to share your screen,
okay,
you should be able to do that. Tim says, I think a lot of folks assume you need to have the fully functional versions of e-learning courses in their portfolios, but sometimes all you need are good screenshots or video demos, and that's spot on. Especially when especially when when I do a proposal for a client and I'm doing my contract, I actually get them to approve that I can at very least showcase an image. Okay, if it's something that I'm working on for someone like my partner, my wife, who owns a disability business, I can show a little bit more. So I'll put more of I can put more up. Here we go, Ashanti. I'll share this now.
Okay.
I'll put it on full screen so everyone can see better. Okay. And I'll turn this off. Here you go. The floor is yours.
Okay. So this is just the back end, and you can see how things are going to look a lot more stretched out because it's kind of like squarish in the back end. And what I really use to help me with the spacing, since the grid is kind of restricted, is the layouts, which are really helpful. So in the Insert tab, they have these layouts right here that really helps you align and figure out the spacing so it doesn't look too squished or get rearranged. And then I just had to do a workaround for spacing. I just used text boxes and didn't put anything in them. So
that's a great idea. Yeah.
White space, and then any kind of like extras that you see, like the header, the little circles, and these icons right here are all in Canva. I really like the stacking that they have in here where it just snaps together.
Yeah.
Okay. These are pictures, again, from Canva. And then this, I actually used this layout here.
Yeah.
And it just pops in there to do that. So I think the only really interesting thing on this page besides the spacing is that in the footer, this is actually an embedded code. I did a little bit of workaround to where I actually formatted this in Blogger. So Google's blogging site, where I put the images into a page, and then I changed it to the HTML setting.
And you copied that in.
And I copied it and embedded it so it would look like that. Otherwise,
it looks great.
It looks like this. So this is another site that I did in Google Sites. Can you see it?
Looks fantastic.
And this is how it goes because the grids are so small. If you move it over, that's the size that your icons will be if you try to directly embed them as images.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a workaround. And then, let's see. I think on this page, yes, this was the only thing that I really embedded directly from my drive.
Oh, okay.
Which was, let me see if I can I'm going to preview it.
Mm.
Okay. Yeah, and so you just have to play around with the size so that you can scroll from one page. And then let me see what it looks like when it pops out. Yeah, so that's what it would look like when they open it. Let's see. Oh, one thing I really did like was the reason that I made a logo is because you can actually select your theme color.
Mm.
So on the pages, let's see, themes. Oh, actually, I did diplomat.
Oh,
my last
okay.
site was simple. So diplomat, these are the default colors, but if you add a logo, use the colors that you want your font and your background layer to be. And I could have done like the navy color or the purple pink too light. So I think that was really neat. And also the ability to add alt text throughout.
Yeah. And you can see here as well that just under here, under analytics, you can add Google Analytics to it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that I've added. So, I spent a bit of time. So when I did mine, you did yours directly through Google Domains, and it was a lovely, seamless integration. Mine was a total nightmare because it was a .com.au domain. So I had, but it was great because I spent all the time on with Google, and they helped me all the way through. But if you can imagine, because this is a Google product, the analytics, the SEO, and everything works very well. It doesn't have a separate SEO function, but it just, I don't know. It's seemed to rank very well because it's a Google site as well. So, how have you found the ranking for the site?
I don't actually use Google Analytics, and I haven't Googled myself in a while, so I don't know.
So the piece of advice that Google gave me was to add it to Google. Mm-hmm. So to use, I'm trying to think what it's called. There's a, Tim, you might know it. You basically add it to Google, and from there it will keep track of analytics for you. It's different than Google Analytics. If I remember it, I'll share it on that Notion page for you guys. But it was the piece of advice that they gave me. I'm trying to think. It's got a new name. It's
Is it the locations or the business site? Because I know there's
no. It was at Google website. They changed the name last year, and it's on the tip of my tongue. So developers.google.com was where they said submit a URL to Google so that you can make sure that it's actually on there. But there's another thing as well. Anyway, the Google Search Console. Yeah, so that's another thing that you can do. So it will just help you get your ranking. Yeah, Google Search Console. Thank you. See, it's always good to have Tim Slade here because he's like a hero. And he also said here, it looks like it's also mobile response by default. If so, that's great. It is great. Can you believe it? So, yeah, that's awesome. What other top tips do you have? Did you use the announcement banner at all? Or?
I didn't. I really like the announcement banner on yours, though.
Yeah. So a lot of companies at the moment have been putting these little announcement banners for the COVID-19 instructions on how to do things. And yeah, it's a really nice little touch.
Yeah, so I do like that. Maybe I will use it one day, but not right now. I do like it, though. Let's see if there's anything interesting on the About page. No, just stacking icons.
Do you want to show them how you add another page?
Sure. So just go to Pages and then click the plus button right here, and let's say play. And it just adds another page. It usually copies the banner of whatever the last page you were on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so you can just delete it, or you can change the header type here if you want it to be a cover or a large banner with a default. So I think
and what's really nice as well, it took me a while to work out that if you click on cover, so when you're actually inserting something, you can still add things to that header. So that's how I learned to do the the subheading, and you can add a button and things like that. But one of the tips that I'll give you is Google, because it works within there's guides on the page. So sometimes the buttons and things go kind of out of whack. Did you find that, Ashanti, when you were playing with it?
I did. That was one thing that I really didn't like, where the button will stretch all the way across. So for example, like if you put the button here, it's small, but if you try to align it with the title here, it's going to stretch all the way across.
Yeah, it's so weird,
It is very weird, because who would want to do that?
I know. It's really interesting. So there's little things like that that are just niggles that, you go, oh, why are you doing this? But, to still have a product that's so easy, there's different workarounds that you can do to overcome that. Whether it's an image that you actually add in and then you add the link from the image, or like you've done, adding some code, Ashanti. So, another tip was that I did a bit of research. I'm going to bring you back on the screen, and I'm going to prompt if anyone, because we've got quite a lot of people watching, but they're all being little quiet mouses at the moment. So ask your questions, guys. Ashanti's here. We've got the pro, here to answer the question, answer your questions. When you, now I've lost my train of thought. Plugins. So there was a couple of websites that I found that are selling plugins. Let's see if I can bring one up. So Google Sites plugins. I'm not sure if they're like a subscription based. I didn't know if you looked into any of them.
I looked only into one for Instagram carousels, because Instagram changed the way that you can embed it in a site. And so you have to just do the whole post. So they have lots of plugins for that, but you usually have to pay for them.
Yeah, I found that really interesting. So I don't know. I don't know if I'd encourage you guys to go down that route. I'm not sure kind of how much that would cost. I think there's other workarounds, and I think seeing a couple of examples here and just looking at that Notion board and seeing the other examples of the sites will hopefully give you an idea that you don't really need some of that stuff. There's workarounds that you can do. I mean, I'm sure that you'd be happy to give anyone advice, Ashanti, if they want to have a crack at doing a Google site, and how they can basically do workarounds for things. I think there's always ways, but there's a few sites out there. One that I'm looking at right now is called, let me bring it up. I don't know if you saw this one. Steagle. Yeah. So I don't quite know what their deal is, but they've got these scripts and different things. This was one of them that I saw. But you can pretty much do a pretty solid design without needing to do pay subscriptions and different things. And now we've had another comment from Sheila, and she said, do you just copy icons from Canva and import into Google site? So do you want to talk, Sheila, through that?
Sure, Sheila. So with Canva, after I create it, I do have to download it to the desktop and then re-upload it as an image into Google Sites to get it to work and make sure the image is not blurry. You can't drag it straight in.
I'm trying to remember if I was able to do SVGs. Do you recall? I'm honestly trying to remember whether the logo was an SVG that I did or whether it was a PNG. I think the majority of the images that I put in were PNGs. So they certainly look quite clean, the images that I put into Google. And so I didn't have an issue at all with that. And any issues? Did you find any issues with images? You recommend large images, do them in a square?
Yes. I think square is best. So that was the biggest issue I ran into, to where I would try to do rectangle and it would be very stretched. I would also say that you have to be very aware of the font coloring, because even though the header has a setting where you can adjust it for readability, sometimes it still doesn't come through clearly if your image is too busy. I do like that you can, as part of the header, you can input GIFs and have that play in the background. So that was a plus for Google Sites.
Surprising.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was surprised. I was like, this is not going to work, but it did.
Yeah. I saw another one that was, did you see there was like a portfolio of a guy and he's underwater? Was that a GIF? Let me see if I can bring it up. So there was, I did a search for best Google Sites examples, something like that. And there was one that was here. I'm going to share my screen again. Now this is a couple of years old now, and the updates hadn't been made. But this chap, you've seen this one, Ashanti.
I looked at that one. That's where that's exactly what I did.
Yeah, so kind of, and this looked pretty nice, but then the format, I didn't think was as good as yours. I think this is very striking image, captures people's attention. Now let's see if I can work out what exactly that is. So this is what it looks like, guys, on a mobile. So you can see it's fully responsive, which is great. Let's see what he used there. And this is what I do. I sometimes I'll right click and I'll go to Google Inspector and try and suss things out. So this looks like...
Is it a GIF or a movie? Or I guess a video.
Save image as. It's a GIF.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. It actually looks really great quality. So good on him. But yeah, that's a GIF. That's a GIF. And that's what I do. So if I see someone's site like Josh's, for example, and I want to rework, some of these looked okay. Some of them weren't that great. Josh's, we bring his back up. I actually did this for Josh's. I wanted to see what size he did for images. So I right click, go to inspect, and then I basically will find that image. So he's actually used a I don't know what size. What size is used? Okay, so 1920 by 1080. So it gives you a good idea of the quality of the image that's going to come through, but by just looking at what other people have done. You know, even these images here, you know, I'd probably do the same. I'd go, okay, so he's used 1280 by 1024. Yeah, and you can see the quality. And Robin's got a question. Hi, Robin. She said you can download icons with transparent backgrounds with the pro version in Canva. That's a good tip, Robin.
Yeah. Hi, Robin.
Oh. She says, hi, Cath. Hi, Ashanti. Yay. So yeah, lots of tips to kind of re-engineer what other people have done. So don't be nervous about doing things like that. Any other tips, Ashanti, for if someone wants to jump in and have a go doing this? Oh, we should probably show where they can find it, shouldn't we? So if I show, let me close some of these sites. Bring this over. I'm just going to share my screen.
Okay.
Oh, Robin. Hello, the best idols. Love y'all.
Love you too.
Love y'all. I can hear it.
I know. We're both from Georgia, y'all. Okay.
So, if you go up to the little waffle iron, is it liking this?
Maybe not.
It doesn't seem to be liking this. Here you go. So click on your little waffle iron and you should be able to click on Google Sites. This is very confusing. It really annoys me that Google has such bad instructional design on some of the things. And I don't know, what's your feedback on that, Ashanti? Drives me crazy. So
hopefully they'll phase it out. I think like by the end of the year, they're getting rid of old Google Sites. So I trust that they will do better.
Yeah. So you click on this new Google Sites and it will bring this in. And you can see how I've kind of got little things here. See how I tried to rework Josh's?
Yes.
So this is me trying to suss things out. So they have already got a few examples of sites that you can do, or you can just go to blank and start from scratch. Okay. So I encourage you to, you know, it doesn't cost anything. Have a look at how these look and go ahead and just, when you're ready, start from scratch and play around with the different formats and just see how you go. And if you're stuck and you want some advice from Ashanti, she charges a lot of money. She's $500 an hour. So you just reach out to her. I'm just joking. But no, I'm sure she'll be happy to help and give you some advice. You can also reach out to me. I'm happy to help as well. And Robin's got another comment here that she says, I want them to bring over template capabilities like they had in the old version. What template capabilities are you talking about, Robin? Give me more. I'd love to know. Do you know what Robin's talking about here, Ashanti?
I didn't use the old Google Sites because it was so bad in my opinion, and I didn't. I wasn't really into coding back then, so I'm not sure. She would have to tell us more about the template and how it's different from the starter sites that they have.
Yeah. And Tim also has asked you, can you show how to connect your domain to your Google site? Okay. So actually maybe I can it was a one-step thing for you, wasn't it, Ashanti?
It wasn't a one step, but it also depends on whether you have G Suite, or whether you just have the regular Gmail version.
Yeah.
G Suite, you have to go into like the manager and do all of that. With mine, I just went to Google Domains and connected it that way.
Yeah. Do you want to show them? Do you want to show Tim? Because mine, Tim, was complicated. It was fairly complicated because it was a .com.au. So I bought my domain from Crazy Domains. So I had to go in there and obviously change the DNS. And it ended up that I was on the phone with, or was on chat with Google for over 2 hours, them helping me. But they did help me from start to finish. So mine was more complicated. But if you just get a .com or one of the domains through Google Domains, Ashanti will show you now. And Robin said you could build Google site templates. Okay. And share them.
Oh. Okay. Let me see. I am pulling it up. I just want to make sure I can show it without showing like my address.
Oh God. Okay.
Let's see.
And Tim says that makes sense. I imagine if you have a domain registered via Google Domain, the connection must be easy to do. Yeah. It's and there is quite a few tutorials showing how to do it, but once you connect that, it's a fairly simple connection from within. If you can't show it, I can bring up mine again and show it, Ashanti.
I'm almost there. You can do it if you want, but I'm just about to pull it up so they can see what it looks like. Okay, I am ready.
Okay, share your screen.
Okay. Okay.
There we go.
So from here, once you press publish, let's see. There it will give you, once you have bought your domain, I bought mine from Google Sites, it gives you the option to use a custom URL instead, and you save it. It does take a while to
propagate.
Yeah, to show up, but you can check. Well, you would go to Google Domains, My Domains, and then click the one that you want to manage.
Yeah.
And go to DNS, and that's where I check that in the custom resource records that the www dot is hosted on the GHS googlehosted.com. So it should look like that if it's working.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, this is a tricky part. There are quite a few great examples of tutorials that are great tutorials that are on YouTube right now. But if you're stuck, Google are also really great at helping, kind of walking you through this. Thank you so much, Ashanti. This is great.
Okay. Yeah, I was just looking at the different ways you could connect. I like that they have it in the icon now, and you can do custom URLs that way too.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Tim has said everyone should go buy their domain. Like, honestly, Ashanti, what was yours? $12 a year?
Yes, a year.
Like it's 2 coffees, 3 maybe. So totally take on Tim's advice. I believe that people should definitely, even if you don't do anything with your domain, go and buy a domain, Robin said, I just subscribed and turned on the bell. So happy to have this awesome series, Cath. You're too good, Robin. I'll pay you later, I promise. I think that this has been really worthwhile. I think it was a pleasant surprise coming across your portfolio and seeing that it was done well. Not a pleasant surprise seeing that you've done something so beautiful, but I love that it was built in Google Sites. I love people who are not nervous about trying different tools, and I think what you did was great, and it certainly inspired me. And I hope that this episode inspires others to go on out there, get the domain name like Tim suggested, and have a crack at building. So one more thing I'm going to ask you. Did you have G Suite or did you have a Gmail account?
I just have a regular Gmail account. I think you only need G Suite if you want to do like a company intranet. Otherwise, you can do everything without it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have G Suite. It has complicated things, but what G Suite, it's allowed me it's obviously worked better for me because I'm in the Australia realm, which does not allow me to kind of work with the Google domains. But if you're in the States or if you've got a .com, just stick with Gmail. Also, just to clarify, Ashanti, so you have your own personal email address, Ashanti at ashantihenderson.com?
Yes.
Yes.
So that's just an alias. It still goes to my regular Gmail. I don't get a separate account. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's different things that you can do, guys. $12.99, like that is just a super bargain. And you know what I would say to you, Ashanti? If you want to go on and do a little tutorial, maybe on your website or something like that to help people, I'm sure that would be, greatly appreciated. Or even a YouTube video, do something like this to show our fellow learning designers how they can make a kick-ass portfolio like yours. Tim said, even if you're not going to use it, you don't want to miss out. If you have kids, go buy the domains. And I agree as well. I was lucky that I've had my domain for years. In fact, I'll tell you a funny story. I have a really, really weird middle name. And my middle name is Majella, Majella. I have Catholic parents and, Catherine Cath Ellis. And my first domain that I bought, my dad said, buy Cath M. Ellis, right? So then everyone thought my surname was Mellis, right? I'm like, no. So it was pretty quick that I went and bought cathellis.com. So I think that, and what's really interesting, there is a university professor in Sydney who is, she's fairly high up the ranks. Her name is Cath Ellis as well. And I've gone and bought all the domains of cathellis.com. And I do feel a little bit guilty, So you might have a situation, like I have a friend called John Slattery, and there's a John Slattery who's an actor. And, he wasn't able to get his domain name, johnslattery.com. So you just never know when there's going to be another Ashanti Henderson, or another Tim Slade. In fact, Tim Slade, I think there is actually a motorcyclist, isn't there, called Tim Slade? So you just never know, So you want to make sure you lock in that domain name. Yeah, and good advice, Tim. If you've got kids, just buy it. Buy it for 5 years, buy it for 10 years. Robin says, get your hands dirty, make something beautiful. Ashanti, your portfolio has such an adorable and smart personality all over it. I totally agree.
Robin's so nice.
She is. She's lovely. Any final tips before we wrap this thing up?
I think we talked about, what's the most important one. If you are in the States, just go Google for easy integration so you won't have any trouble, and make sure that you use your tools like Canva and have really high quality images, because of it, like there's not a lot you can do natively, but you can get creative.
So. Yeah.
those are my tips.
Absolutely. Good job, Ashanti. Well, thank you, guys. Thank you for your getting involved. Thanks for the conversation. Thank you, Ashanti, for being my guest today. I hope everyone enjoyed this session, and continue to leave comments. If you have any questions for Ashanti, I'm sure she'll be jumping in and looking at the comments and answering you all. And thank you, everyone. Okay. Last words, Ashanti?
Oh gosh, you're putting me on the spot. I was just going to say thank you.
All right. Well, take care, everyone, and we will see you in our next episode, which actually is with Tim Slade. We're going to be talking about how to get started in e-learning design. So that's going to be a great one. And we're going to be talking about his second edition to his book, which I actually have next to me. I'm going to do a shameless plug. We're going to be talking about his second edition to his e-learning designer's handbook, which is absolutely fantastic. So everybody, all the best. Have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Okay,
bye.
Bye.